Have you ever wondered what makes a truly great coach? Is it their strategy, the backroom pep talks, their motivational skills? Or maybe it's something more, something strangely close to obsession. Well, today we're going to be looking at a man who took attention to detail to a whole new level. Pat Riley, who, of course, won it all. Now, when you think of Pat Riley, what first comes to mind? Maybe it's the slicked back hair, the really expensive suits, or the 9 NBA championship rings he bagged as a player, coach, and executive. But beneath all of the Hollywood glamour was something far more worthy of note. Beneath it all was a man absolutely consumed by the pursuit of perfection. You see, while other coaches were coming up with fancy plays, Riley had something else on his mind, a more effective strategy for success. He was counting how many times his players dove for loose balls. You might want to play that back again, because you heard that right. How many times his players dove for loose balls. He literally kept track of what he would call effort plays. Every deflection, every dive, every contest at the rim. He even created a statistic called Game Activity Points, or GAP for short, to measure hustle.
5 up that we try to get the ball, but Dennis Johnson probably a lot of the times, front. Automatic 5 up, and it goes guard forward is 55.
Riley was so driven and overwhelmed by attention to detail that he would go over the matches after they'd been played. Picture this. It's 1988, and the Lakers are coming off another outstanding season. A lot of coaches would be satisfied with the performance, kick back their feet, and have a beer or two, but not Riley. He would be found later in the gym at 3 a.m., watching the game tape, counting all the times the players fought through screens. For Riley, he wasn't just content with winning. He wanted perfection. He wanted to win the right way. Crazy, right? I know. But let's take a trip down memory lane. How did a kid from Schenectady, New York, make his way to become the man that would stand at the pinnacle of basketball perfectionism? Well, it all started when Riley was playing for the Lakers in the early 70s. He wasn't a star, far from it. He was a role player who had to fight for every minute of playtime he would get. And that experience would go on to shape everything he later adopted into his coaching philosophy. You see, Riley learned something very important during the years. He figured out that talent wasn't enough to cut it. It wasn't enough to win championships. This mindset would go on to shape his entire career, taking the world by storm. Riley noticed that the little things most people overlooked, details that made a difference, mattered far more. When he would take on as the head coach of the Lakers in 1981, he fully adopted this mindset, and boy, did it win him games. Here's what made Riley really interesting. He wasn't just passive about his demand for effort, he measured it obsessively. He believed that everything had to be accounted for, and he made sure his assistant coaches tracked everything. I mean everything. They would measure how many times a player went out of the box, how many passes they deflected, and how many screens were set. Riley was meticulous about it, turning the game hustle into something near close to a science. He was tactical about it all, leaving nothing to chance.
The enjoyment is the process of getting there. And you can't always measure success by how high you finish or how much money you have. The only way you can measure your success is how you feel about yourself.
With Riley's attention to detail, you might think he was some kind of micromanaging coach. You would be wrong there. Riley was famous for turning practice into a war zone. His coaching and practice were so intense that players would frequently leave practice with ice packs on various parts of their bodies. It was so intensive that Riley's practice became famous around the league. Patrick Ewing knew a thing or two about those practices with the Knicks.
He makes us play as a unit, and that's why Coach Riley plays an important part, because he knows that if we don't play as a unit, all the talent that we have, we can't win.
Riley had a saying, which was, if you're not exhausted at the end of practice, you're cheating the game. He was a strong believer that every drop of sweat in practice was like gold when it came time to prove it at game time. Take the historic 2006 championship run. Yes, Dwayne Wade was unstoppable, but it wasn't just about him. If you look deeper, you would see every play coming up as a result of Riley's culture. The accountability was paying off. Even down to the tiniest detail, he made sure every player knew exactly what he wanted from them. When one strategy didn't work, he would go over the footage and make notes. Riley could adapt and fast too. That was what made him truly special. The team's playbook had become thicker than a phone book, as he would map out every possible scenario. When he became the head coach for the Showtime Lakers, His style became about fast breaks and flair. With the Knicks, he did something different. Stay with me now. He adapted. The Knicks became a defensive juggernaut of a team under his direction. In Miami, he merged both styles. The attention to detail was constant, but the details changed. He knew it was the only way to win games. He took his plays seriously.
Kareem Skyhook is, to me, synonymous with the cruise missile. There's only one of them. And when we get in dire straits, you'll see Irvin Johnson or myself do one thing, and that is put the fist in the air.
Now I'm sure you know that not everybody would appreciate Riley's coaching style, but none of these mattered to him. He was here to win, and win he did. His need for control was so great that he would have the assistant coaches record how many players made eye contact during timeouts. Every detail mattered. Every possession, every pass. It all mattered to Riley, and he impressed on them why. Riley believed that excellence wasn't all about doing extraordinary things. It was about doing ordinary things extraordinarily well. He would let his players know that talent didn't matter. What they needed was effort. Effort made you work harder. It made you never give up. And the suits? They weren't just for show where Riley was concerned. He believed that attention to detail went far beyond the court. He had a dress code for his players long before the NBA made it official. His philosophy was simple. If you look sharp, you'll play sharp. Excellence wasn't something like a switch that you could turn on and off whenever you felt like it. It's a way of life. Riley didn't just enforce this dress code, he lived it. There's a story about him sending a player home from practice because his socks weren't pulled up high enough. Excessive? Maybe. But Riley believed that discipline in small things translated to discipline in bigger things, and he needed them very disciplined. Riley had a special way of preparing them before every crucial game. He would have his team practice cutting down nets. He knew visualization was a crucial part of becoming familiar with winning. While some coaches obviously didn't agree with him, he did not care. This was his foolproof plan, and it worked. The hustle was real for Riley, and no one took his work more seriously than him. He would create these insanely detailed scouting reports that were usually about 200 pages or more. These reports documented every single detail for different players in a single playoff series. Remember his obsession with details? Yeah, it really came to shine here, documenting every play call, player tendency, and anything else he could find. Assistant coaches would make jokes that his scouting reports were like studying for a doctoral exam. During the 1994 playoffs, Riley was with the Knicks. He observed a specific type of play from the Bulls. They would often run a specific type of play about 80% of the time. This was all Riley needed, as he would have his team run entire drills to defend against those types of plays. When the moment came in Game 3, the Knicks stopped it cold. That was the Riley effect. But maybe his greatest skill was knowing exactly what buttons to push with different players. Like we've said, Riley understood people and knew what to make them tick. With Alonzo Mourning, it was controlled aggression. He believed the aggression could be harnessed and channeled properly, and Riley was right. For Magic Johnson emphasized leadership. With Patrick Ewing, it was dominance in defense. Riley could read people like a trained psychologist would. Nothing better than back-to-back championship runs, money, fame, and recognition to boost your morale. That staying an extra hour at practice was absolutely worth it. Riley talked a good game, and he proved it too many times. Everything was timed down to the minute in his practice, with specific goals for each drill. Players knew exactly what was expected, when it was expected, and how it would be measured. There was no wasted motion, no wasted time. It was a work of art. Riley's famous play hard chart showcased his obsession with details in full light. It wasn't just about effort plays. Riley's system broke down effort into measurable forms. Even today, as team president of the Heat, Riley's fingerprints are all over the blueprints of what makes the team gel. From the Heat's conditioning test to accountability culture. These are all Riley. Riley valued player development so well that he would measure that too. When the Heat signed Jimmy Butler, it wasn't just about his talent. What made him outstanding was that Riley effect. The obsession with detail, the drive to better, and of course, The suit. Winning didn't always mean that he could relax. One could say this man was built differently. After the 1987 championship, Riley gave a speech, telling his players to become the disease of more, encouraging every player to want more of everything. From playing time to making more shots, which meant more money and more fame and recognition. It was this kind of mindset that set him apart from the others. Today, at 78, Riley's still with the Heat as team president, and he hasn't changed a bit. He's still obsessed with details and always in the pursuit of perfection. Riley's legacy isn't just the championships he won, but how he turned the game on its head, changing how we all see it. What was the best part of Riley's career that you didn't know? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into one of basketball's greatest minds, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more content like this. Until next time.